p.m. in Douala. Viewers, it's time for the news on Equinoxe Television. Thank you so much for joining us. Our major stories tonight: the war happening in the northwest and southwest regions has caused several young people to flee from the war-torn towns and villages in most localities. In the English-speaking parts of Cameroon, we can find only old men and women who have been abandoned to themselves because of the crisis. In this edition of the news, we will be taking you to Mundemba and Akwaya to present to you what is left of those two areas of the Indian division of the southwest region of Cameroon. Plus, security forces have opened investigations in Bonaberi here in Douala after a 45-year-old man confirms he sexually assaulted his best friend's 11-year-old daughter in Bonaberi in the Douala 4 area. The alleged rapist was caught by vigilant neighbors. We spoke with some neighbors who are also witnesses, and we will be telling you more in this edition of the news. Viewers, those are our major stories. Details and more in just a moment. Welcome back, viewers. Thank you so much for always being with us for the news in the English language every 6 p.m. on Equinoxe Television. We begin right away with the crisis in the northwest and southwest region, which has been going on for the last 6 years. It has been causing untold suffering, especially to the elderly population because of the war. In the English-speaking regions of Cameroon, several young people have already fled from various towns and villages. For me, I'm Strong Sander. In the report which comes up next, takes us to Akwaya and Mundemba, all localities in the Indian division of the southwest region. All right, we will be coming to that report that should be in the course of this newscast. Now we move on to this human interest story. We announced on the headlines that a man in his 40s is presently in detention at the Bonandale Gendarmerie Brigade in the Douala 4 area in Bonaberi. He is accused of raping the 11-year-old daughter of his closest friend. Let's now have the details with Mala Glory.
He escaped death as a furious and angry population gathered behind him to administer mob justice. He was caught raping a 12-year-old girl, the daughter of his friend and neighbor too. The crime took place at Bonindale neighborhood, Douala 4 municipality. The old man in his 40s, according to him, acted under the influence of an evil spirit.
My brother, I'm facing a devil works because this thing it happened to me, so I don't know how to talk because I think it happened to me.
He adds that he is spiritually attacked after every 10 years to carry out such a barbaric act.
I don't beg a population. I say I don't know what he touched me. I don't give money to go to hospital.
During the intervention of gendarme officers, the quarter head of Bloc des Écoles called on the population to be vigilant, especially with the high rate of insecurity in the Bonindale neighborhood. I urge the inhabitants to be vigilant with their children, especially as we have a school in the neighborhood. We also have cases of robbery and frequent attacks even from close relations. The victim is presently receiving treatment at a nearby hospital, while the suspected rapist was arrested and taken to Bonindale Gendarmerie Brigade for questioning.
And to this other lead news story, the 6-year-long armed conflict in the Indian division, a locality in the southwest region, unlike elsewhere across the Anglophone regions of Cameroon, has made life very difficult for the local inhabitants, and that of the elderly persons is more complicated. In addition to these challenges, elderly people in the Indian division, precisely in Akwaya and Mundemba, say they have been abandoned to themselves by the society. For me, Armstrong Sander takes us to Akwaya and also to Mundemba.
Unjustly accused of witchcraft or referred to as witches and wizards, sidelined in social activities and decision-making, the elderly people in the Indian division of the southwest region of Cameroon say that they are abandoned.
Abandonment, rejection, stigmatization, and very poor living conditions. It is unimaginable that residential gifts that were sent to the division, the elderly persons were sidelined, and NGOs that are actively distributing gifts in other divisions are afraid to come to our division.
Speaking on the occasion of the 35th anniversary of the International Day of the Elderly, this category of persons in Mundemba says some of them are even killed and or buried alive out of hatred.
We are neglected in the society by even up to our children because of the age. They always take us as wish people. They call it in painting.
And some are even buried alive, innocent.
Helpless, the elderly persons in Indian Division depend mainly on some few non-governmental organizations that visit the area, like the Ngota Foundation.
They should help us because we are really abundant. And if they help us by even giving us any small things within us, I think we'll make a better state.
We are calling on the elites to see how they can mobilize to see that the elderly people in Indian Division have a growth in their living standard.
A message which the Indian Divisional Delegate of Social Affairs promised to carry to his hierarchy.
We are working very hard to bring in partners that will partner with the Ministry of Social Affairs to ensure that we improve the living conditions of the elderly persons in Indian Division.
The 6-year-long armed conflict in Indian Division, like elsewhere across the Anglophone regions of Cameroon, has made life difficult for local inhabitants, and that of the elderly persons is more complicated.
And still talking about the conflict in the English-speaking regions of the country, we come back to this news which we got from Gusang. It is a locality in the northwest region where 2 men were publicly executed in Gusang by yet to be identified individuals. The men were taken to the main road in Gusang and shot in front of children and also their relatives who watched as they were bloodily killed. And civil society actors have been condemning that act, which is said to have been carried out by alleged separatist fighters. Now let's come to this communique. The Fon of Gusang has reacted to the public execution of his two people in his locality. Within this communique, the Fon says the village is really shocked by what happened in Gusang, that is in the Momo division of the northwest region of Cameroon. The communique which the Fon sent out today reads, "I noticed with astonishment and indignation the circulating on social media of the video exhibiting once more the upsurge of acts of barbarism and horror perpetrated by terrorist armed gangs who continue to show terror and desolation amongst the population of Gusang village in the Batibo subdivision, Momo division of the northwest region. In actual fact, on Wednesday, October 4, 2023, between 4 p.m. and 5 p.m., en masse separatist fighters visited the Gusang Market Square and ordered everybody to gather at the main avenue of the said square for an important communication order which everybody respected. The so-called secessionist terrorists then invited Mr. Mbanya Singh, Hans Ndi, and Aburu Kletus to step out and sit on the third road. The separatists then told the population who had gathered in their numbers that these 2 men would be executed publicly, and that was done. The Fon thereby, he says, call on the Gusangis to continue to distance themselves from all activities of separatist fighters and their ideology. That communique it was signed by Fon Guang Mbanyang Singh III of Gusang. It came from the Gusang Palace in the northwest region of Cameroon. Now we come back to talk about the Teachers' Day, which was commemorated yesterday, October 5. In the city of Douala, teachers expressed indignation of their poor working conditions and the fact that the government is reluctant to address their plight. Reacting to their concerns, the governor of the Littoral Region, Samuel Dieudonné called on the teachers to be patient as the government looks into their plight. Let's now have how it happened here in Douala with Immaculate Fogwe.
Those who make other professions possible marching past the Beseke ceremonial ground in Douala as they commemorate Teachers' Day. In the course of the celebration, the teachers expressed concerns about their deteriorating conditions.
As it concerns the strike action, which has already been sent forth by our intersyndical unit, which will go forth from the 9th to the 15th, that is for 5 days. Yes, most of us won't be in school. We called, following that note, we called on parents to keep their children home in order to respect this noble profession, in order for us to actually start off on Monday, knowing fully well that the government must have listened to some of our pleas and taking into consideration the existing living condition and situation of the teacher of this country.
The governor of the Littoral Region, Samuel Dieudonné, urged teachers to be patient while promising them that their grievances will be attended to.
As he has passed here in Douala, it was a wonderful one because we had teachers by the people that were representing them that expressed themselves to tell the government how they are embarrassed for many measures that the government has taken but are not implemented. I wanted to tell to everybody that some measures cannot be implemented because of the context. We are fighting against Boko Haram. We are fighting against the separatists. We are fighting against many things. And the head of state, every day, if I tell you the amount of money sent to combat those who want to trouble our country.
This year's celebration has a theme: the teachers we need for the education we want.
Less than 3 months for the temporary protection status the TPS granted Cameroonian asylum seekers in the U.S. to expire, lawmakers and the civil society leaders are pressing for a renewal. They argue that the TPS for Cameroon should be absolutely extended to avoid deporting the thousands of Cameroonian asylum seekers back into the very precarious situations they escaped from back in the country. Babila Jonathan talked to a Cameroonian-born legal expert based in New York and compiled this report for the news.
Economic, political and security situation of Cameroon described as unfavorable for those living there now and for those who escaped to seek refuge and better living conditions abroad. To Cameroonians seeking refuge in different parts of the globe, including the United States of America, it is risky and even dangerous to return or be deported back to their home country.
We still have extrajudicial killings, there is torture, there is economic morass, there is, no freedom of association and assembly. People are still being arrested if they peacefully protest. And again, this is not something that I'm saying. These are things that, credible organizations have written and talked about with clear proof that this is what's ensuing back in Cameroon.
Tens of thousands of Cameroonians are living in the United States under the Temporal Protection Status TPS program accorded Cameroon last year. As it is due to expire in December 2023, 30 members of the United States Senate are calling on the U.S. government to extend it to protect those fleeing the armed conflict in Anglophone Cameroon and other socio-political problems from deportation.
According to U.S. State Department reports, about 4.7% of Cameroonians, which is about 1 in 6 Cameroonians, has been gravely affected by the armed conflict between the Anglophones and the government. And of course, in Cameroon, here in the United States itself, about 21,000 Cameroonians live and work under that particular program. So it's only salient that this program should be reinstated again.
U.S. lawmakers say that the armed conflict in the English-speaking northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon is worsening, and so deporting the asylum seekers should not be an option to be considered.
And as we got into the studio, we got information that the Homeland Security in Washington, D.C., in the U.S. of A., through the Secretary General Mayorkas, has announced that it's about an hour ago the extension and redesignation of Cameroon for the temporary protected status, that is, those Cameroonians in the United States of America who have been seeking for their asylum to be extended, has been granted. And now we take you out of our national frontiers in Chad. It was a real thunderbolt that sounded early, that was yesterday afternoon in Jamena. An international arrest warrant was launched against one of the fiercest Chadian opponents, Succès Masra. And in Norway, in Europe, the Nobel Peace Prize of 2023 was awarded to Nages Mohammadi, Iranian human rights defender. Our foreign page roundup with Cedric Chakutio.
In Burkina Faso, the transitional government in Burkina Faso decided earlier on Wednesday to elevate the former president and father of Burkinabe Revolution, Thomas Sankara, killed on October 15, 1987 during a putsch, to the rank of Hero of the Nation. The consecration of this status aims to perpetuate the cardinal values which founded the Republic. Coming to power through a putsch, in August 1983, Thomas Sankara, a Pan-Africanist leader, was killed on October 15, 1987 during a coup d'etat instigated by his number 2, Blaise Compaoré. It should be noted that the status of Hero of the Nation was created in June 2022 to honor people who have distinguished themselves, in particular by their exceptional bravery. Over to Chad, supporters of Succès Masra were happily preparing to welcome him on October 18 in Jamena after a year of exile. For his return, they sent a letter to the Minister of Public Security earlier on Thursday to inform him on his arrival time. But few hours later, they saw an international arrest warrant circulating on Chadian social networks against their leader. This international arrest warrant is due to a message sent to the nation on his Facebook page in May 2023. The Chadian justice accuses him of having on this occasion incited southern Chadian to hatred and revolt. And in Norway, the Norwegian committee decided to support the fight of Iranian women this year by awarding the 2023 Nobel Peace Prize to Nages Mohammadi on the 6th of October 2023. The 51-year-old journalist has been imprisoned in Tehran, Iran since November 2021 after being convicted in 2016 for her commitment to human rights. The activist is being rewarded for her fight against the oppression of women in Iran and her struggle to promote human rights and freedom for all.
And now we talk sports, viewers. Draws for the new season of the Elite 2 League has been concluded in Yaoundé, with 15 clubs shared in 2 pools of 7 and 8 clubs respectively. Yafoot will tackle newcomers Bafoussam FC in the inaugural match, and also we tell you that Joel Embiid has dumped Cameroon for the US of A. Smart Jikankiber is our sportsman.
Alice of Hope Football Academy, Ishosa of Limbe and Bafoussam FC of Bamenda, who were recently promoted into Elite 2 League, will meet again in the championship as both teams were drawn in Pool A of the Elite 2 League alongside another Anglophone club, Foncha Street of Bamenda. Draw to determine the clubs to play in the different groups was done at the Fecafoot head office in Yaoundé this Friday. Pool A is composed of RS FAP, Dragon, Evening Sports, Leopard Sportif, Foncha Street, Ishosa, Bafoussam FC and Unisport of Bafang, while Pool B is made up of former Elite 1 team, Yafoot, Thekase, Renaissance of Ngumu, Aigle Royal of Menua, Rangers of Bafoot, Racine of Bafoussam and Jiko FC. At the end of the championship, the top 3 clubs from each pool will qualify for the promotional playoffs, while the bottom 5 sides from each pool will participate in the relegation playoffs to determine the clubs to go down at the end of the season. The opening match of Elite 2 season has been built for October 10, 2023, with Yafoot to host newly promoted Bafoussam FC. Elsewhere in basketball, Cameroonian-born Joel Embiid, who plays with Philadelphia Sixers in NBA, has decided to represent the colors of the United States of America in the next Olympic Games. Joel Embiid received a call from Cameroon, France, and USA, but decided to choose USA. On his Twitter handle, Joel Embiid said he was doing it for his son, who was born in the United States of America.
Thank you, Smart. That report brings us to the end of the first part of the news, viewers. Let's go on to talking points in just a moment. Welcome back, viewers. Our guest tonight is a medical practitioner, Dr. Glory Befeke Anye. Doctor, thank you so much for being our guest on Talking Point tonight. We are talking about